It's time to dig deep for the Playing Ducks. They're down 0-2 to Expert, and we're going into a game number 3 here. And Expert, they are not looking like they want to let up at all.
No, they are actually playing really short games right now. It feels like one of the teams has a date or something, because they are trying to race through the series. And the Ducks have to stop them, and it's not going to be easy from what we've seen so far.
Mad Betty wants to get back in the Hero League and practice some more tanks, man, to become the best tank in all of Europe. We'll see if they can pull it off here, as our next battleground will be coming up relatively soon. And kind of curious to see where we're going. It's going to be Dragonshire for the Playing Ducks, as Expert will be getting first pick.
I feel that every single map that we are seeing, no matter who chooses it, is a map where Expert really excels at. Of course, the first two games were on maps that they chose themselves, so that makes sense. But Dragonshire isn't really a bad map for them either, so... Yeah, let's see what the Ducks can show us on the third map, because they have to make a reverse sweep happen right now. They have to start it here at least. Then again, every single map you take is important in the season. It doesn't only matter about you claiming the entire series. If you just can take one map, maybe two, that helps you in the standings a lot, since map score is now even more important than it was in Phase 1 here at the HGC.
Yeah, I also think the Playing Ducks is a team that if they can get a win or two underneath their belt, they seem to play a little bit better. They feel a little bit more confident in each other and really start to work together and bring that synergy up. So let's go to Dragonshire and see if Playing Ducks can get their first victory of the series, or if Expert will close it out.
Alright, so let's see what exactly the Ducks have planned for this map. It's their choice, so we can expect them with maybe a few odd picks here, something that they want to use to surprise Expert. And I have to highlight it again. The Ducks haven't won a single map against Expert yet in the regular HGC season. That includes Phase 1. So at this point, Team Expert is 8-0 against the Ducks. And we have same bans, by the way.
I gotta wonder how much that is weighing on the Ducks too. And when you're 0-8 against an opponent, it has to mentally affect you and your gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, it totally is something that's like, can we even beat these guys? Like, we made a mistake here, but they took a mile and they ran with this, and they were able to effectively punish us that hard.
I mean, the Ducks have actually shown really cool games in the first phase, in Part 1, Part 2. They took down some great opponents, but it just seems that Expert is their kryptonite. So now Genji as a first pick, after we had again the two supports banned out. That, of course, leaves us with the question if Rega is now prioritized to an extent that the Ducks are picking him in the first rotation, and indeed they do. So Rega is claimed with a Nubarak, which forces the Experts a little bit farther away from the supports. They could still play a Tassadar combo here if they really wanted to, but on this map, for the format, it wouldn't actually be too bad to have again the double support here and rolling with it. But if you choose the Tassadar now, then you still have to think about what your main support is, since the Ducks could still target another one.
Yeah.
But we have also, I mean, we have seen Morales even played by these guys, so...
Morales. Why do I forget about her? When I'm thinking about all these supports, Morales is the one that doesn't jump out to me.
Yeah, the problem with Morales is just her mobility overall, and if you have an Nubarak on the other side and he starts diving deep, Morales is oftentimes the target, and it can put you in a really awkward spot. It's also not really the map where you would expect her. If you're talking about Braxis, then she's a bit more likely to pop up, but maybe the Experts surprise us here. They have the Genji, so that's at least a bit of pressure taken away from her.
Well, 3 seconds of counting. We'll get a feel for what Team Expert is going to prioritize. It's going to be Illidan and Abathur.
All right, Abby is back. The Illidan Abathur. So Aethero is going to happen to play the Illidan, so we're going to see him top lane a lot. That makes it also, Abathur has a few things that really work against him on Dragonshire, which is why you don't see him as often here as you do on other maps. But the one cool thing that you have is that your solo lane is incredibly empowered. Yeah. So if you have a lineup where you have really dedicated solo laners against each other, then you have at the top lane a lot more wiggle room and power as Illidan's, just because Abathur can jump in.
Which is crazy, because Aether's already been dominating his lane so far in the HGC, and now if you have an Abathur up there, it just becomes that much more of a threat. You also get the vision in the middle of that Bermuda Triangle as you're able to drop in those Abathur mines and really make sure that you clear out the area. The one negative that you were alluding to was that you're missing a body, though. If there is a spot where you actually need an extra fight for to control a shrine, Abathur not being there is something you miss out on.
Your 4 mana is weaker, your solo lane is much stronger. Also, since Illidan should never really lose the top lane unless he gets ganked heavily, and even in that case, Abathur with Toxicness should be able to provide him a little bit of vision throughout the rotation process. But the variant ban is something that actually I find extremely interesting. Is that going to be a... Normally when we see a variant ban, it was mainly Tracer that was really the pick that you wanted, so that he can't go in with a taunt. So if you targeted this directly, is that the thought process, that they want to go into a Tracer composition with this?
I'm trying to think of any other options that you would
Zeratul?
want to move into. Zeratul, yeah. Zeratul is a big one you can go into. With Arctis being picked here right away, though, it's going to be the Tassadar. So, yes, they're trying to set themselves up for the Tracer, depending on what their opponents get.
I mean, it was telegraphing a pick into that direction a lot, I feel. Since, I don't know, if you wanted... You mentioned Suljin earlier, and we have seen Suljin on this map a few times. I'm just thinking about additional options if you do not want to go into Tracer. Do you have another option what you could take? Tracer is the obvious choice. Could they go into a Suljin, for example?
Oh, easily.
And just simply say, if we have a variant against us and he can go into the parry build, if he goes with Taunt, we lose too much value on him.
Oh, easily. With Rhaegar and Tassadar, like, Prime supports what you want when you have a Zul'jin. You want the Ancestor healing for when you pop the Taz Dingo, you follow it up and you get the heal right after it. And then, Tassadar for that lifesteal naturally baked in there, so you can waver around that 50% and keep your trade up the entire time.
So there's definitely a few options for them, but it's interesting to see that in that case, the ban on Cassia would have helped even more. But yeah, let's find out. So experts, they went into an Illidan comp, we know that already. They still need their main healer, and of course they need also a frontliner. Tyrael is going to be the one. Okay, so Tyrael as the solo heal together with the Abathur. Kharazim taken. I mean, I don't mind the Kharazim at all. Tyrael, that's still a bit of a question to me, how much of an impact he can have in this case.
Not a judgment with Rhaegar having cleanse, is it?
No, I don't think so.
No
I was thinking the same thing. When he popped up, I thought, can they maybe go into Judgment and try to combo it off with the Illidan Hunt? But I don't think there's a chance of that happening with Rhaegar, as you said, being an ancestral hero.
They may have bought Zul'jin. I mean, when he pops the Tazingo, you pop Sank, you all stand on it, and you literally nullify him being at the 1 HP, and then you just go for the counter punish right away. Yeah,
that could really be the reasoning behind it. And that could lead us again into the Tracer, but I think both of them are options for the Ducks. But what you bring up with the Sanctification is a really good point. If you can hold it for that long, they go into Lunara instead, so option number 3. I'm actually wondering how much I like that. It's not bad by any means, but I'm just wondering if the other two choices... They've waited quite a bit, so they actually were thinking about alternatives to it too.
I see so much dive on the opposing side for Expert that will Lennar have the opportunity to actually open up the fight and be able to spread her poison. You have the Illidan Hunt coming in, you have Tyrael diving with it, the Sanctification coming out, Genji as well, so Rhaegar and Tassadar are be working overtime. Here's heals, here's shields, and then at that point, has Lennar done any damage during the entire fight?
It comes a lot down to the coordination. I was for a moment also thinking if they could still go into Judgment and simply target Rhaegar with it. And saying, well, you can't cleanse yourself. If we dive on you, of course, Tassadar is going to try and help you out with the shield. But if we blow you up, and this is the one thing that I have to say about Expert, their coordination has been so on point in those fights that I really think if they want to make it happen, they could. It's a one-trick pony style that you would play, but if they can pull it off with really crisp timings, I think that would be good for them. So... It's interesting. I think this is definitely, for me personally, the best draft that the Ducks had so far. Yeah. But just from a coordination aspect, the burden of execution lies on Expert. But from what we've seen so far, I think they have a really good shot at pulling it off because they look really crisp today. Well,
we'll have to wait and see when we get ready for game number 2. But we asked you at home earlier what you think the top 3 will be in Europe, and we have some answers here. So let's go ahead and check out the tweets that you guys have sent our way. First off here from Leon Eider? Heroes Esports, my top 3 for the HGC would be Fnatic, Team Expert, Team Liquid. Okay. Love the show and your casting. Have fun. Thank you so much, man. Not a bad roster, but Dignitas falling out.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say, Dignitas in that scenario doesn't even make it into the top 3. That's crazy. Okay.
And Experts over Team Liquid, by the way, which is interesting. Obviously, EU confuses every other region by not having a distinct top 3. Tricked, Fnatic, Expert, and TL definitely looking strong. Hey, that's not a list. That's 4 possibilities. You can't do that.
Yeah, he definitely, that was the cheap way out there. So he basically just said, I don't really want to predict anything. But he put Expert and also Tricked up there. So that means he named Fnatic, right? So that means Dignitas and Liquid would drop out.
Pretty crazy, man. Well, let's go ahead and go into our third battleground of the day. Thank you for your tweets. We do love them. But now, let's focus here on the Playing Ducks and Expert. Expert looking for a 3-0, and the Ducks looking for a win.
The Ducks looking for a win. Indeed, it would be their first one in the regular seasons of HGC this year against the Expert. We have to the left in blue, Team Expert with Curse on Karazim, Bad Benny on Tyria, Nick on Genji, ADRD on Abathur, and Ethereal Angel on Illidan.
On the right side in the red, Wolf Joe on Rhaegar, Sport Billy playing Tassadar, Chris on Lenara, Eternal on Arthas, and Nande will be on a new Barak.
Abathur already heading into a symbiote build here right away. The level 1 talent, personally, I think with Illidan, you don't necessarily need it. The big advantage that you get when you go for the level 1, for the pressurized glance, is actually the cooldown reduction. Oftentimes with other melee assassins, what you're also looking for is the extended range, but Illidan has a really easy time staying close to a target anyways, so it's more so about the cooldown reduction. But there's good options of what you can go into if you're just looking for more damage on the toxic nests. For example, talking damage, Eternal gets a lot of damage pushed straight onto him, nearly falling here in the early game, but so far the Ducks still keeping their cool and not losing anyone.
And Thorough didn't mind too, with ours to be on the kite back. Still dives forward, puts more damage out, and that was a quick 4v5 for Team Expert. Now granted, Abathur's hat wasn't there helping out a lot, but Arthas, man, taking some damage. Now it's all about our movement here. As we have Illidan in the top lane against Arthas in particular. Arthas can do pretty well in that lane in terms of wave clear, but I am very curious to see how Abathur will affect that entire lane matchup.
Yeah, overall, I believe that, I think the Ducks draft here is actually fantastic. They have so many tools that they can use, especially when it comes to the team fighting later, trying to control the Illidan, using the Cocoon. As long as they keep Lunara alive, they have so much damage that they can utilize here. The Experts, they need to coordinate their attack perfectly to get that early kill and then take it from there. And we are going to find out if they can make that happen. Early game, of course, we talk about the disadvantage of having an Abathur in your midst. You lack that hit point pool, lack that one hit point bar, life bar on the map, but you have the stronger top lane since Abathur can always help out Illidan if need be.
The other side about the 4-man not being as effective is the wave clear is actually pretty mediocre between Tyrael, Karazim, and Genji. You're going to have a hard time being able to clear that out efficiently. With some mana, you can use Smite and such, but it's going to eventually put you on the back foot, while the Playing Ducks, they just need their Tassadar walk forward and drop down a shield. Rhaegar himself, and if their supports are pushing in the lanes, eventually Team Expert will find a spot where they're going to have to make a play.
Yeah, now one of the things that's of course annoying for the Ducks, as you're talking about Expert also needing to find a play, the Ducks have the problem, well, the toxicness is a bit of a problem. I don't want to call it too big of an issue, but it's very annoying when you're running into them all the time if you're trying to rotate between the mid and the bot. But he can't be everywhere with those, and he didn't go into any toxicness talents. He's fully focusing on trying to support Illidan in the later fights, and that's what he has to do here. But we are also in a situation in which the Ducks are not abusing any kind of 4-man rotation between mid and bot lane.
So far, Illidan controlling that top lane really well. There was a moment where both shrines were actually under control for Team Expert. Obviously, without having an extra body, they were having a hard time grabbing that dragon. They need to get picks before that occurs. Bottom lane continuing to be fought between both of our teams as the Giants will siege each other out now. Obviously, level 7, big deal for Lenara, getting that splintered sphere, being so important for burning down our opponents. And when there's multiple melees on the opposing side, that's where we can see Chris be really effective as a sieger.
Yeah, Thero is now in the mid lane here, starting to rotate a bit, so we are going to see Abathur probably take a bit more of control of the top lane, which is exactly the case now, moving to the top and using a symbiote there. That puts more pressure onto Chris in particular as the Thero jumps in again. And overall, the Experts are already doing better in the early game than I expected them to.
Yeah, they're hanging in there. Just slightly. I'm waiting for that 7 power spike. That's where the real test for me is. They're going to be able to actually contest against the Ducks. So we have to wait till level 10 when they get their coordination on point and come in for those aggressive plays. Abathur's taking over the top lane for now, while Illidan did rotate in to help out in the fight, but we'll head back to the top. It's all about those shrines now, as the Playing Ducks have been able to grab both of them.
Yeah, Illidan will definitely be able to win the top if Abathur helps out, and that's exactly what happens. Eternal cannot win that fight, and he knows that, of course, too. He's just trying to delay this so that his team might sneak the Dragonite in the mid lane. That's not the case. Tyrael has already taken over the shrine to the bot lane. Now that means that both are now under the control of Team Expert, and they have level 7 around the same time as we're seeing the talent for the Playing Ducks.
We have 2 people in the middle for the moment. But Lenara will be able to grab that bottom, take the shrine back, and it's a bit of a tug of war that continues to occur. And I kind of wish that we could just fast forward to level 10 here, because I feel like we're going to have a moment to finally have those kills break out between our two teams.
And as you say, Tassadar dies.
Of course.
Obviously, that would
Tassadar
happen.
of all the heroes, too.
That had to happen. That's always the case. But yeah, so Tassadar falling here, and Ethereal is getting solid damage in against Eternal, but Nund is now coming in too. Oh,
No
that
way.
dodge!
He gets a kill, too. A thorough on the back line, working in some auto attacks. Can he get over the wall? He does. He has to dodge the next stun from Nande. Okay.
I have to put this in perspective, because first of all, the auto attacks will reduce the cooldown, in case that some guys out there that watched didn't know that. But one of the main reasons why he actually was able to make that work, ADRD, what the hell? Look at him.
He's a
No
blind dude.
fear. No fear at all. One of the reasons why he survived is that we had no... he's killing me, seriously. I can't even, like, finish my thought here. One of the main reasons was there was no ammunition on the towers, so that's why Illidan was able to get out of there. The towers were basically non-existent.
Kirsten's going to live, too. Wow, the shield comes out from Bad Benny. Team Expert just seems to be a little bit better at executing overall.
At first, I really thought when he got the kill at the top that he just said, hey, I'm going to die anyways here. Let's take Arthas with me. But then as I realized that the towers were out of ammunition, that was his saving grace. But I cannot believe how ballsy ADRD is on that Abathur here. Just moves in the middle and says, boys, I got this.
I mean, he had a Genji in front of him. He was willing to go into hat mode. Gosh, Abathur going in, looking for the dragon. Doesn't get it, though. We're going to go ahead and have another phase occur for our teams. But 10 is about to hit here for Expert. And I expect them to be explosive the minute they hit 10. Look at them. They have, what, half a level on their opponents?
They have a 2-0 kill lead as well, and they are now half a level ahead, as you just said. So they can just go in. They have the Sank now, the 7-sided. Illidan is taking the top. Tyrael working at the bot lane pressure. And they are looking good here. Expert. I don't know. They just seem super coordinated here. They seem completely out of the league of the Ducks. And I like the Ducks draft. I actually think when they keep Lunara alive, if they can keep her alive, they are going to do a lot of work here. I love that we have Leaping Strike for Chris. Once that Illidan and Genji move in, Chris can reposition himself. But I really want to see how that...
Wow. Okay.
Well, so much for that.
Well, we have Chris dead right away there. The supports didn't even have a chance to keep him alive there. Nande, he couldn't even get a cocoon off, and that's going to be a shard in the bottom. Arthas will step up at the top and at least slow this down, but Expert, you can see the coordination, the execution. We were questioning it in the draft. Can they pull it off? And they just did.
Yeah, it seems that today on the dinner table of Team Expert is roasted duck.
Today they are serving duck with a side of carrots.
Yeah. And a little bit of cheese.
Well, Team Experts in the bottom setting up. They have Hunt up once again. They're daring the Ducks to move out. Consistently putting themselves in spots to say, come fight us, please. We want to contest.
Expert doesn't give a duck right now. They are just showing that they're taking the camps and they're daring their opponent to move in and try and contest it. And Thero is just zipping around the entire time, and so is Genji. They're so hypermobile. The focus has to be on Chris. If the Ducks can keep Chris alive during these fights, if they can stall these fights out just a bit and really get the poison of Lunara to work, they have good chances here. Keep the cocoon in mind. There's so many tools that we see for the Ducks, but the coordination of Team Expert has just been so much better up to now.
Person does get out of Throno, and the playing Ducks are starting to group up. ADRD will use the Ultimate Evolution and starts the harassment with all 5 people in the middle. Team Expert looks to go ahead and soak in the top left lane and wait it out.
Yeah, Tyrael at the bot lane here, once again trying to take the second shrine, and he will. But AD already used the cooldown. Also, I want to quickly point out that he took Mule on 7. Hasn't really done too much yet, but it's definitely a talent that can help to slow down the game a bit and also to negate some of the work that he can do with the Dragonite here. So important to note, at least for now. But yeah, Expert still has that 1-level lead. They're
so
closing in on it at least.
Yeah, so far playing Ducks have been doing a good job of actually just floating around and not giving anything up in terms of objective control. So I'm actually happy in that regard, as they might not be getting the kills, but at least they're keeping their opponents at bay long enough to set up. The problem is you have the Abathur effect and the Illidan effect, where they continue to get stronger.
Genji, Hunt, Eternal, pops the army, and is still down. Still dead, not surviving here as Nick moved in. They had the potential to kill him. And Ethereal, as you said it before, he is a monster on the solo lane anyways. Now he has an Abathur head. That's just crazy.
It's a little too much. Man, even Arthas there, who has armor, Army of the Dead, Icebound Fortitude, dies to heroes that just dive straight up with them. The mobility and the execution is too high here for Expert to where you cannot be in a spot where you are isolated. He was right near his fort. He took 4 steps and was back underneath his fort and still gets picked off.
And it gets worse. The 13 talent gives them so much transference now too. More survivability for whoever has the Abathur head. So that is exactly the problem here. And the Ducks, they have their 13, but so far they've been the ones reacting, and they have to try and do that again. Chris already just jumping away, but look at Genji. He just simply doesn't care. AD with his copy moves behind the wall, says like, yeah, whatever. You might burst me down, but I still get the kill. Tacita is down, Lunara barely survives, and now it's a 4 versus 5.
7-sided strike as well. Thorough dies for it. We have both the shrines grabbed, and with Nande low on health already, it's looking like a dragon already for Expert. And they're going to start rotating in here. Who will they have jump into it? It's going to be a Thorough for the moment. Nande does tap. He can possibly interrupt, but they decided against it. And the first dragon of the game at 10 minutes will go over to Expert.
Dragon Knight starts to move in, and the rest of the team immediately splits down to the bot lane and starts to pressure the second fort. So we are seeing them diving in deep and trying to make sure that they get the next level. And they are 2 levels ahead. It's level 16 any second now against level 13. A talent lead is... it's incredible. They are playing this so well.
Playing Ducks need to group up and force a fight, and they're doing it now. They need to make something happen soon here. With that 3-level advantage available for Team Expert, they're in a very poor spot. This is a 4v5 as the Playing Ducks are going in. And Expert is just toying with them, wasting time here. Fortification is still available, while the Dragon in the middle lane is pushing in and looking for keep damage.
Yeah, and as we said before, the burden of execution in this game, when it comes to the draft, is on Team Expert. But they are absolutely pulling it off. This is one of those things that you oftentimes see when you look at the draft and you say, hey, this has an insane amount of potential, but it's so much harder to execute than their opponent's draft. But if you're on that level where you can make it happen, then you look fantastic, and that's what Expert are currently doing to the Ducks.
Cleaning them up. One swipe at a time here. The Dragon finally gets dealt with in the middle, and it will get 1 fort overall, so nothing too crazy. Playing Ducks forcing a fight, allowed for them to defend their fort on the bottom left, and now it's all about moving towards level 16. But Team Expert have different plans. They're invading the opposing Night Camp.
So Lunara has 2 supports and Leaping Strike, and still is so afraid that she goes into the Greater Spell Shield. For very good reason, too.
Yeah, as he should be. I mean, let's look at the damage numbers. This is how much Clutch has been able to do. 21k damage here at 12 minutes. Look at Genji, 42k. Genji literally has double the damage of the Playing Ducks. They're not able to get into a spot here.
Of Lunara, yes.
Of Lunara, yes, absolutely insane, as they're having such a hard time actually getting into such areas where they can force fights, because Chris is scared, and rightfully so, to move in for her in an actual aggressive fight.
The Ducks are just waiting for level 16, and at some point they have to be the driving force in a team fight, engaging into the battle, using the cocoon, and moving in, making sure that once that Illidan jumps in, they pay attention to Lunara, and that they get the damage and then the kill in. But so far, they never really had the chance. We're talking mostly isolation kills and pressure. And again, it's happening. Wolfjaw is completely in a bad spot here. He's once again down. They see a target on the map, and there is no hesitation. They immediately jump the target. And where we haven't seen a single hero from Expert, all of a sudden, there's 4 of them.
4 of them here in a holy ground available for the Tyrael. Trying to isolate anyone on the right side. They grab the fort. They have a Night Camp pushing the bottom as well as Giants. And they're moving in to break down a keep wall with Shrines activating in 20 seconds. Team Expert is primed to grab a Dragon. Luckily, good news. Playing Ducks at level 16. This is their only chance to actually get a fight where they'll be on even footing.
I'm telling you, AD already has a day today. This is why they're trying to end this early. They're moving in once again. Eternal, low already, pops the army. Cocoon on the ground, and AD already with his copy. Saves Nick for now. Can they get the kill? Maybe. Nick is down. That's the end of Genji. And Chris takes care of the copy. Finally, the Ducks with a bit of momentum still 2 levels behind, but for now on the same talent.
Late sanctification there from Bad Bitty, and the Playing Ducks take the advantage. They grab a kill. Great for them now. They're going to set up, grab the shrine on the bottom. They still have Giants pushing into them, but they should be able to clear that out soon. Their main priority is to get on the field, grab a dragon so they can at least start opening up the battleground.
Yeah, so this is really the moment when I want to see what exactly the Ducks can go do with this. Can they get their kills and drive the momentum? And for now, it's actually not looking too bad, but Ethereal jumps out, escapes, and so does Bad Benny.
Getting help there from Bad Benny. Holy Ground to isolate too. Shrine has grabbed at the top. Can anyone run to the bottom here? Genji's up in 10 seconds. Can Team Expert delay long enough to get all their members up?
Well, the problem is really the level 20 talent. You've been talking about this already a bit, but once that the Storm talents hit, this is just massive. They try to get the Dragon Knight, but they don't because Ethereal comes in with the interrupt. That Benny got Cocoon. That means 1 cooldown down, and they're moving away. 7-sided also used. They jump into the middle again, and AD on the copy is starting to do some work. Double Illidan.
Atharno doesn't mind, though. He's dropping down the Tempest here, moving forward and keeping up the aggression. Now, meanwhile, the bottom right, Giants have been sieging this entire time. The keep has gone down to half health, and the Giants have still not been cleared out. Playing Ducks are forced to keep fighting here. Athuro dives forward, but he gets out.
Unbelievable. He dove in because he realized that even with Tyrael trying to get the bottom shrine, it
20.
would not have mattered. They would have gotten the Dragon Knight. So he goes in super deep and somehow still survives and is able to move away. The keep has fallen. They're 3 levels ahead. It's an extra talent. This is just fantastic from Expert's point of view.
Expert in a great spot here. Giants grabbing that keep on the bottom right, and the Playing Ducks are pinched in a really hard spot. Do we rotate bottom and grab this shrine so we can keep our opponents at bay? Do we try to fight? We're a full Storm talent behind. It's very difficult for the Playing Ducks to make something happen, but they have to. They are in a spot where if they give up anything, Team Expert will grab this dragon and push down the lane.
And just look at these talents. We have Nexus Blades taken for Illidan, and we also have on the side of Tyrael the Holy Arena claimed. So all of a sudden, it's even more damage on all sides. If they jump into any of these fights, it's going to be brutal. There comes the copy. AD. They want to go in. Tyrael already on the move. In comes Illidan. They're going for it. Immediately the Cocoon comes out. Rhaegar has already fallen, though, as Genji goes in with the Dragon Blade.
And the Dragon Blade going to be using the fight here to kill off the Cocoon. We're going to have the sanctification available for the Tyrael. It did get interrupted, though, so it's not out for 4 seconds. Chris, however, still low on health, is trying to kite forward. He's going to go for a Thorough, but a Thorough with an Avatar hat isn't minding too much here. Finally, Saint comes out, and a Thorough turns it around with the help of Bad Benny.
Holy Arena has been used, but only at the end. 4 kills against 2. Illidan just cleaning house. The Illidan factor coming into play, and Abathar is simply channeling through the bot lane shrine, so they can go for the Dragon Knight, and we already have the core under attack. Gentleman's agreement here, apparently. Not quite. Eternal knows he's going to fall here, and this is a huge stagger death that we're seeing.
Is AD going to grab it? Look at him slugging around, the little slug going for the dragon. He's going to evolve here into a big, massive Dragon Knight and head straight for the core.
This is looking... Can they defend here? I don't see it happening. We have most of the heroes back in the game at the time the Dragon Knight will arrive, but you have an Illidan against you. The copy on Abathar is up, so that's a double Illidan on the core. There's Cocoon already used, but that's only going to stall it out a little bit. Bad Benny jumps out for now. 20 seconds, 25 until Arthas is back. Dragon Knight is in. Copy by Abathar would get a double Illidan on it. This has to be it, Tim.
It's looking like it. Thorough's working on it. He's low on health here, down to a quarter. Still here. AD already keeping the dragon. It's full health, and you're right. This is it. Team Expert is going to take the game with the 3-0. Okay, Shield scared me for a second. There it is. 3-0 victory for Expert as they'll take on the Playing Ducks and earn an easy victory.
Abathar, in this case, doing some solid work here in the entire game, but that was great execution on the side of the Expert. A 3-0 victory for them now, looking strong and moving further up in the standings.
Can't believe they're still in the top 3 here. They shut down the Playing Ducks. The Playing Ducks have yet to get a victory on them, too. 9-0 overall in the HGC phase. So Team Expert very happy with their win today. And again, their main goal is to go to the Western Clash. If they continue to play like they did today, I don't see it being a problem for them.
Yeah, we highlighted the importance of the map score. And this is something that Fnatic, for example, has talked about several times, where they say, even against presumably weaker opponent, we are giving everything because we want to make sure that we take every single map and that we don't lose one. We don't want to end up in the same situation we did last season where all of a sudden we had to worry about map scores. And this is something that we're now seeing from Team Expert as well. Very clean and crisp victories against their opponents, and they are now in a fantastic position towards the Western Clash. But of course, we still have several play days before we know who will go.
Got a couple more weeks, get it all figured out from there. But today, in general, has been an awesome day for HGC. First off, we get some stability with Expert winning over the Playing Ducks, so good. My mind's not completely melting. But on the other side here, Tricked Esports with a 3-0 victory over Team Liquid, which really throws a lot of those bottom 4 teams into pure chaos.
Yeah, and talking about the last game now as well, we can take another closer look at the last team fight that we had in the match, just to give you guys a bit more of an idea. So you can already tell right here when Illidan jumps in, we pause right here just for a moment. So at this point already, everything is just getting insane. So first of all, here we have a Cocoon. This is a really important one since it is on Tyrael. And we talked about the Holy Arena, which was picked up, super important. We see Chris immediately moving to the side, making sure that he's not in the middle of the action. But everybody is popping cooldowns. Rega using the Ancestral. We have already the Illidan and Abathur, of course, with a copy. But as we just go forward right now, we can actually see how the Tyrael, moving him out was a bit of a problem. But thanks to such a close choke point, Genji is getting so much value out of his Dragon Blade. And Tyrael finally coming back, but he actually gets interrupted after he's trying to get the Holy Arena. So this is basically the best situation for the Ducks right now. Holy Arena never came into play at this point, but Genji is just getting so much value in. Chris is already low, and just look at Ethereal from here on out. He gets the symbiote in just a moment, but he cleans up Sport Billy. He's starting to go for Lunara. Eternal is trying to prevent it, but then Ethereal just turns back, gets a few auto attacks in, and then jumps in. Holy Arena gets used at that point. Doesn't really have a massive effect here, but it was still extremely well done on the side of from Team Expert in general.
Yeah.
And they played... Holy Arena was one of those key heroics, and it never really popped off at the moment where they needed it because of a good Cocoon that we saw coming out from Anubarak, and then the interrupt later on. And they still got that massive value out of the Dragon Blade in the choke point, and then Illidan just cleaning everyone up.
I mean, kudos to Nande making sure to lock down that Tyrael in particular. The Cocoon right away, the instant impale to interrupt that certification from going off, which allowed for some members to actually fall on the side of Expert, which gave them a chance to actually come in and win that fight. It just wasn't enough.
If he hits that Holy Arena, that's sanked immediately when he goes in. That's a 5-0 there. There's absolutely no way that they are getting anyone and that they get out alive. So that was absolutely crucial that he gets the Cocoon in. But even with that, fighting against the level 20 advantage was too much. The Nexus Blades, for example, the extra damage on Illidan really helping out with this. And Genji, of course, just getting Dragon Blade value the entire time.
So Expert gets a win today, continues to stay on the top 3. But the Playing Ducks, man... How are you? What are you thinking about this team right now? Are they one that can continue to come back in the second phase of the HGC, or are we starting to get to a point where we're starting to worry about them a little bit?
I think at this point they have to manage expectations. Heading into the phase, they were thinking about, okay, we want to break into the upper part. But I mean, right now, you probably have to think a little bit more about, we lost against strong opponents. Now let's make sure that we win the important matches so that we don't end up in the Crucible. I think that has to be the priority at this point. Obviously, Eternal is a great player that just joined them, but the synergy doesn't seem to be there just yet, at least not to the extent they expected after scrimming before the phase started. So right now, aim for the middle and make sure that you win the important matches against your direct competition.
Well, let's go ahead and go back to Expert here as Athuro is currently on the phone with us. Athuro, thank you for joining us. You guys earning a 3-0 victory over the Playing Ducks today. How does it feel to be on the new team, man? I don't think we've had a chance to actually talk to you personally.
It feels pretty good. I mean, I don't have to shot call, so I can literally just feed on my own. So it's good for me.
Awesome. And how is the energy between you and the rest of the crew member? I mean, are you fitting in nicely? Is it more just like they let you do your own thing?
Yeah, we fit in pretty well. Like, we play, I think, way more than almost any other HGC team, so we've got a lot of hours in, so
awesome.
It's pretty good for us.
Cool. I'm going to send you over to Caldor. Thank you.
Well, so first of all, congratulations, and also for not running it down mid. You need to clean your room, like the first thing.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll do it next week. I'll get a few next week.
Okay, so I want to. You said that now, so now you have to also
Yeah,
deliver.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just simply question. We basically asked this to all the teams that have new players and how they feel, how much synergy they have. It seems that you and Maka are probably the best fits for the teams that they've joined. You as a solo laner are doing extremely well there. Are you happy with how things work out right now? Do you still think that there are certain problems that you guys have to address in the way that you play?
So a couple of weeks ago, we were struggling pretty hard in terms of scrims, and then we played the first game of HGC, and then like we all we just clicked, and then now it's completely fine. We're doing pretty well in scrims. Like we still have a couple of rundowns there, like here and there, but yeah, it's pretty good right now.
What's the goal when we look at the standings? I mean, we had a bit of an insane situation earlier when Team Liquid all of a sudden got taken out. You
Yeah.
guys stated several times that you want to head into the big three. Has that changed now since you saw the results earlier? Is that now the top 2 position that you're aiming for, or what's currently the goal? What's being discussed and
Well, I
voiced?
think our goal for like this opening games was to get to Western Clash, and I think it's pretty likely that we can make it there. And then post Western Clash, we obviously want to go to BlizzCon, but we want to be aiming for the top 2 slots, maybe contest Fnatic at some point in the next 6 months.
What is the team that you guys feel will rival this position the most?
I think that Dignitas, when they come back to their strength, will still be the one which we have to battle for second, third area. I'm not sure what's happening right now, but yeah, we'll see.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, speaking about some of the top 3, you guys will be facing off against Fnatic next, and Fnatic has been quite dominant for the last couple weeks. Any early insights?
So we've been doing pretty well, but I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy 3-0 because that would be silly. But I'd say we can definitely make it like a 5-game series. Like if we play really well, we can obviously win, and if they play really well, they'll obviously win. But we don't know exactly until we go into this matchup how it will go.
All right, well, nice safe there from a thorough. A thorough, before I let you go, the floor is yours for shoutouts.
Shouts to Expert, my team, obviously, and yeah, everyone that's followed me through the past 6 months of grief and whatever, Open League, whatever it was. Yeah.
All right, congratulations to a thorough and the rest of Expert as they earn a 3-0 victory over the Playing Ducks and continue to be in the top 3 here, being quite dominant and looking forward to the Western Clash. If they stay on this track, they could definitely get there.
And for him, it's also such a fantastic story to just see how he just played. He played at BlizzCon, was part of Dignitas, and fell out there, got replaced, and now he's back in HGC doing extremely well with the experts. So fantastic performance by them, and this season is just becoming closer and closer. I'm very happy for the results in the games that we're getting. Looks strong.
Well, speaking about close, let's check out the standings as they update from today's 2 matches. At the very top here, we have Fnatic and Team Expert, and Trick Esports actually slots up into that top 3. Team Liquid and Team Dignitas down here on the 4th and 5th, and we'll continue to keep an eye on these standings as they continue to evolve over the next few days.
Yeah, the standings are just still blowing my mind.
It's weird looking at it, isn't it?
It's only Friday, so
Yeah.
I'm actually happy about this. Just imagine it's Sunday and we have to wait an entire week until we see how the standings are going to change. So I'm super happy that we have Saturday and Sunday with more HGC Europe games because right now it's just an absolute delight to watch these games clash against each other.
Yeah, it certainly has been, and I'm excited to see Expert and Fnatic. I believe it's happening this Sunday. That will be a match to watch. If you only have one match to watch this weekend, you better have time for more. But if you only have one, it's understandable. That match in particular, I think I would definitely volunteer you to watch because it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, the games are all going to be pretty insane. This is the one situation that we're in right now. You can't really choose a game anymore. Even the matches that you think should be one-sided, all of a sudden turn out to be super close or just go the completely other direction. So everyone needs to step up their game at this point. Liquid looked fantastic before today. All of a sudden, it's an 0-3 against Tricked, and now they have to really struggle again to make it into the Western Clash here. Tricked has a shot now to do the same. Expert too. We have absolutely no idea who is going. The only team that looks super solid up to now is Fnatic. If they now start losing as well, Yeah, I don't know.
That'd be pretty darn bonkers. Well, we're juggling teams in the standings here at HGC Europe, but we're going to go ahead and call it a day for today. We'll be back tomorrow with more. North America is up next.